cycle of life. Now the question is, how do we see this? Now I just want to make it very simple for you to understand, because these are deep. Although they are deep, but it's very interesting if you can see it. Buddha said, Kamena niyati loko. The whole samsara, the whole life, the whole world is being carried by sensual desire, sensuality. I think as human beings, we won't deny this. We are trying to gratify our senses. We are trying to enjoy this sensual pleasure. Now, when you look outside, even let's say the shopping mall, movie theaters, nightclubs, even any other places, all these places are designed in such a way that it could entice you, that it could excite this sensuality to come out onto the surface. This is the nature of the environment. But this is, you can't stop this. We are bombarded by this sensual desire. And we admire these things. We love it. And these things are flowing in. Then what is happening inside us? We are giving an emotional reaction to all these objects in the environment. Wow. Look at these things. I want them. I want them. So wanting, craving, desire arise. When these cravings, desires arise in our mind, do you know what happens to us? We become blind. We give an emotional reaction to such things. That we want to have them, we want to possess them. And we want to keep them. So this goes on and on, on and on, on and on, on and on, non-stop. So, as David mentioned about that Mara, when Buddha was about to become enlightened, Mara got frightened. He got scared. My goodness, Siddhartha is becoming Buddha, enlightened. If he becomes a Buddha, I'm going to lose my people. I'm going to lose people. I want people to stay in this cycle of life. The nature of the Mara is to keep us in this cycle of life. He wants us to go through the cycle of suffering. But the Buddha wants us to liberate us from this cycle of suffering. And Mara got scared. To stop Siddhartha, the Buddha, to stop from becoming Buddha, what he did was, first he sent his 3 beautiful daughters. He said, daughters, you go to Siddhartha and dance and sing in such a way that he would get distracted and stop him from becoming Buddha. And these daughters, known as Tanha, Rati, Raga, these are again other Pali words for craving, desire, wanting, something like that. Eh? And so they went to Buddha where he was meditating, and they started dancing and singing beautifully. Buddha remained very calm and relaxed. Although they were dancing and singing, Buddha did not even look at them. When Buddha remained like that, these daughters got tired of it. They got exhausted, and they went back to their father, the Mara, saying, "Dad, sorry, it did not work. We tried our best." Now why? This is a beautiful story. Like, for us, as unenlightened beings, if we see something like that, we would give an emotional reaction. We would get attached to them. But here, Buddha stopped giving an emotional reaction. When you stop giving an emotional reaction to what is happening in the environment, then there is no suffering. There's no pain. All these pains, the sufferings, the problems are coming into being in our life because we are inviting them. Maybe out of ignorance, or maybe, because we want them, and then we get stuck. We get attached to them. And then, if you like, we want them to exist for us without changing. That's what we call a bhavasava. We want them to exist. And all this taint of sensual pleasure, taint of existence, wanting to exist for us all the time, all this is happening because of the avijja, ignorance. So, Buddha stopped giving emotional reaction to these things. When he stopped inside, although things happen outside, have no place inside. Now the external things in the environment are having an impact on our life because we consciously or unconsciously, we are giving an emotional reaction to these things. That's why. This is why Buddha said that not seeing the value of the morality, meditation, wisdom, and liberation, we are still transmigrating in this cycle of life. So to end the cycle of life, to find nirvana, we need to follow the Noble Eightfold Path, known as the Noble Eightfold Path. This is basically known today in the modern psychology as the shifting attention. Our attention is going to all these, let's say, wrong view, wrong thought, wrong speech, wrong action, wrong livelihood, wrong effort, wrong mindfulness, and wrong concentration. So these are the wrong things that keep us in this cycle of life. They bind us in this samsara. So, to remove this bond, this attachment to this samsara, then we need to take this side of the positive qualities. So that's why Buddha talked about, now we need to pay attention to the right view, right thought, right action, right speech, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Let's say thoughts. Thoughts or intentions. Wrong thoughts are the thoughts of violence, thoughts of sensuality, and the thoughts of anger. Like as human beings, we have the intention of enjoying sensual pleasure. And then if we can't please gratify ourselves with the sensual pleasure, there comes anger. And when we become angry, then what do? We harm. We engage in violence. Either we harm ourselves or we harm others. So three thoughts. Thought of sensual desire, thought of anger, and the thought of violence. Now, if you speak to anyone, no matter where that person lives, what kind of faith or political background he or she has, what religion he or she belongs to, as human beings, they would acknowledge this. As human beings, we have all these thoughts. So these are the very thoughts that lead us to do all the negative actions, bad karma. Now, what do we do about this? We need to become conscious. We need to become mindful. These are the thoughts causing the problems in our life. Understanding this, that we need to intentionally shift our attention to the positive thoughts. The thought of renunciation, letting go, the thought of love and compassion, the thought of non-violence. Now, in Buddhist spiritual tradition, even as being monks, this is what we are trying to do. Now we practice every Buddhist is supposed to be following 5 precepts. They are known as 5 precepts. Refraining from killing, refraining from stealing, refraining from sexual misconduct, refraining from lying, and refraining from alcohol and drugs. These are these are known as Sikha Pada, the principles of training. So basically these are 5 negative actions. 5 negative actions. If you don't refrain from these negative actions, if we keep doing these negative actions, they are going to lead us to this continued cycle of life, making our journey, our life in the samsara miserable. So, if you really love yourself, you have to refrain from these actions and then train yourself to engage in 5 positive actions. See the value of this. Instead of taking life, give life to others. Develop love and compassion. Instead of stealing, practice giving. Instead of abusing the relationship, respect it. Respect the commitment. Instead of lying, speak the truth. Instead of consuming alcohol and drugs, train yourself to cultivate awareness. Because the substances, drugs, alcohol, basically, intoxicate us, make us unconscious. Then we don't know what we are doing, what we are saying. So, you have to see the value of this, the virtue, the morality. And then, this is what we call Sila Visuddhi, moral purity. Morally, you feel good. Later, you don't suffer from guilt. People suffer from guilt a lot by doing all these actions, negative actions. And we are tending to engage in these negative actions because you have to understand every negative action is based on a particular negative emotion. Have you ever thought about this? Let's see. Act of violence, killing, is based on what? What kind of emotion? Anger. Hatred, yeah. And the act of stealing? Greed. Greed. And then abusing the commitment in a relationship, that is based on what kind of emotion? Lust. Wanting more, right? And then lying. Fear. Fear, yeah. Protection, fear. And then alcohol and drugs. Escape. Escape and also the attachment to it, no? So when you examine, see, this is the beauty of this teaching. That's why psychologists, neuroscientists are falling in love with this. If this works, the remedy is there. So these negative emotions are also known in the teachings of the Buddha as kilesa. Kilesa means to defile the mind. These are the negative emotions making our mind impure. They are contaminating, tainting our mind. So, we practice meditation. Why? The whole objective of Buddhist meditation is to purify the mind, known as Sachitta Pariyodapana. Buddha made it very clear in the meditation agenda, in the Sutra on meditation, called Satipatthana Sutta. He explained several objectives, and one main objective of the meditation, the samadhi, is to purify our own mind. Because these are the negative emotions, defilements, contaminating our mind. And this impure mind is the very source of human suffering in this cycle of life. And then we keep going and going and going and going non-stop.